Hey boys and girls, welcome to another super exciting, outrageous toy review. Today, we're going through some of my new vintage toy pickups. Still on my Ninja Turtle kick, I picked up Ray Filet. I loved this guy as a kid. I believe he had a color change feature when you dipped him in water. I don't know if there's two versions of him, because I think mine had like a pink shirt instead of yellow, but maybe that's depending on which color he was dipped in last. I forget how that worked with him exactly, but he's got his gun, his little starfish buddy, and his little built-in minifigure buddy. Had to pick him up, working on recollecting those early years. This is the Casey Jones movie figure from Ninja Turtles 3. When they traveled back in time and they ran into Casey's ancestor with the slick back hair. This figure is really bizarre because it uses the torso of the original cartoon Casey Jones figure. You can see he's got the belly shirt there with the hairy abs sticking through. Really weird. Anyway, this guy came packed with a vehicle or a playset, something like that. I kind of think I have him, but I'm not sure, so I grabbed him anyway. And here we have Mutagen Man, a classic Ninja Turtle action figure. Had him as a kid and loved him. I thought he might be a really hard one to find because not only does he have his gun and his hose and the little cap on top of his head and his little backpack here, but he also has the little yellow bits that float around inside him if you fill him up with slime. This figure's limbs are a little sticky. You know that, like, that weird sticky that plastic turns sometimes after a while? So, he was bagged. I didn't notice it. So I might replace the body, but I've got all the hard-to-get parts, so we'll see. And I finally picked up the Rat King. I already have all his accessories, so I'm really glad to have him in my collection again, you know, trying to rebuild that vintage childhood toy collection. Next up, I've got some GI Joe action figures. Here we have Sea Slug, still sealed in his little bubble. He was a vehicle driver, so the cardboard box had a painting of the vehicle and then a little see-through window that showed you the guy, and the guy was in the little bubble there. So it's pretty cool to pick him up. I think he's the third GI Joe vehicle driver I have in a bubble. Sort of a weird thing to collect, but they're kind of cool when you can find them. I'm always building that army, so I picked up a couple more Cobra Troop builders. We've got an Eel, Frag Viper, and Televiper. The Eel even has nice screws. That means whatever kid owned this didn't know the joy of playing with GI Joe scuba divers in the bathtub. I've been working real hard on trying to complete my GI Joe vintage action figure collection. I have all the figures, but I don't have all their accessories. So I picked up this Stalker actually just to get the complete weapon set. I had his boat already, and I think his gun, and maybe the oar. But here we've got the boat, the little stabilizer arm with the backpack, the oar, the machine gun, his mask, and his knife. This has got to seem like a repeat from the last pickups video, but I bought a complete Crazy Legs. Again, he's got his gun with that little fold-out stock piece. That is hard to find. And the same weapons go with the basic figure as the Night Force version, and I got to get that Night Force one complete. On that same note, I picked up a Night Force parachute pack for Crazy Legs. Pretty awesome. I also picked up 3 of the Battle Force 2000 weapons as I'm working towards completing my action figures. And I got this one Holy Grail level accessory. There are certain accessories in GI Joe that are extremely hard to find, like the microphone to hardtop or heavy duty. This is the Listen and Fun Tripwire metal detector. Listen and Fun Tripwire was a remold, like repaint of Tripwire package with a cassette tape, not actually sold in the regular GI Joe line. His accessory is very hard to find. I needed this to complete my figure, and one of the vendors there actually bought it off another vendor and then gave it to me when I was like, "Ah, you bought that today?" So I got to give a big shout out to Raiders of the Lost Toys. Always buy a ton of stuff. Actually, quite a few of the toys in this video. Crazy Legs, Stalker, the lunchbox you'll see in a couple minutes, some of those Cobra Troopers, all came from Raiders of the Lost Toys. You can find them on Facebook, and he really hooked me up. Ed hooked me up big time with this landmine detector. Picked up a Power Rangers Z-Putty. I've been army building these guys for a while. Great figure, cool action feature when the Power Rangers punch him in the Z, just like in the show. I also got Bones, one of the creepiest of the Power Ranger monsters from the first season in the jumbo vinyl figure format. I love how his hat hides his face of the shadow there. He's He's got that scary face. He's got his vinyl cape. And even has his sword. I love how it can be holstered on his hip there. Or you can put it in his hand. Now if only his head would detach like in the show. In the show, his head would float around and the Power Rangers had to fight it. Pretty crazy. Here's KO from the New Adventures of He-Man. Another one of these wacky figures. I actually had this guy already, but I didn't have any of the accessories, so I was happy to pick him up complete. His action feature is that as you spin his waist, he extends his gun, or extends his shield. Thundercats! Here we have one of the Berserkers. I forget this guy's name, but my best friend had him growing up. But I didn't know that guy until after I was done playing with Thundercats, and I think it was the only Thundercats he owned. Kind of strange. He probably just thought it looked cool and picked it out at the store when he was a kid. And used it with other toys. But it's crazy. This guy is nuts. He's got this lever on the back of his foot, and when you squeeze it, bam, wha-bam, wha-bam, wha-bam. I mean, this guy could destroy the Masters of the Universe, Cyclone, right? The guy that spins. Pretty awesome. I remember him being in the cartoon and thinking that he was pretty amazing. I also picked up Cheetara with her exciting Battle Metal action. Oh, yeah. Anybody have a Capri Sun straw I could use as a staff for her? We're getting close to wrapping this video up. Time to bring it back around to GI Joe again. Picked up this awesome GI Joe lunchbox featuring the General. It will be finding a happy home with all those other GI Joe lunchboxes up there. Came with this thermos that features artwork from the comic book. I bought some GI Joe comics. Some of these I paid almost top dollar for, just trying to get my collection complete. And other ones I paid $2 a piece for at a toy show. This is Tales of GI Joe #1, which is a reprint of the original comic book issue. GI Joe 64, paid more for this than I wanted to, and then saw multiple copies for $2 a piece at that toy show. GI Joe 103, bought this as an upgrade. My issue is in kind of rough shape. This one's not perfect either. Number 125, featuring the Echo Warriors. This one's a little bit rough too, but it's okay. GI Joe 131, featuring the new Bats. 132, Snake Eyes Unbound. 136, GI Joe starring Snake Eyes and Ninja Force. Oh my goodness. And GI Joe starring Snake Eyes. In this issue, Cobra Commander wins. Number 145, 10 issues before the series was canceled. As for vehicles, I picked up a Cobra Night Raven. I already own 2 Night Raven shells, but it's time to stop messing around and get a good one. This one is almost complete. The little drone ship is missing its rear thruster thing. It looks kind of like this, but just a single booster. I'm pretty sure I have that part, because I think I already have a drone ship in my basement. So, I'm pretty sure I've got a complete Night Raven, which is pretty sweet. Night Force Persuader parts. In a previous pickups video, I showed off a couple of figures I picked up at a toy show for my friend Nick. As partial payment for those, he traded me a complete set of accessories for the Persuader vehicle, because I have the shell with none of the weapons. Also picked up a boxed Battle Armor Snake. A suit of armor with removable weapon pods. This is a weird G.I. Joe toy. You know, we can't complain in that in the first G.I. Joe movie, Rise of Cobra, they had those, like, exo suits or whatever they were called, because Cobra kind of had them in, like, 1983. This one has been opened, the box is opened, but the contents are all here. Instructions, pamphlets, unopened bag with the decals there. So that's pretty cool. You don't see that a whole lot, and I was kind of excited to pick that up. Show the G.I. Joe spirit. Ooh, you could order some G.I. Joe posters. Special savings. Always thought it was cool that they cut the toy to show a little cutaway view that you could put a figure inside it on the package. In the comments down below, let me know what you've picked up recently for your collection. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos.